Today I'm going to show you how I protect my gouache paintings. I do my gouache painting with the more traditional gouache, which rewets when even after it's dried. So I can have a painting like this one I did in a sketchbook recently. I can have a painting like this, but if water splashes on it, it will rewet, kind of like watercolors will. There are versions of gouache that are acrylic-based gouache that will, once they dry, and you don't need to worry so much about protecting them. But with this type, it's really nice to have a way to protect them so you can, hang them up and not worry too much about them getting damaged. So what I use is wax medium. So I have a couple of different types of wax medium. I have the Dorland's wax medium. This is an old container. I think I didn't research this, but when I was looking up what the prices are nowadays on these, it looks like it's been bought by Jacquard, so it's still quite readily available. This Gamblin version, it's a cold wax medium, and it's very similar for this purpose. And this is just I was able to pick up easily here in my city. So either of these will work. There are probably other wax mediums out there. I believe this Dorland's one, encaustic painters use it, so it can be heated as well. Whereas this Gamblin one, I don't think you can use it for encaustic painting. But if you are an oil painter, maybe you already have some of this wax medium because oil painters use it to thicken their paint or make it a bit more matte. But we're talking about using it as a varnish. So it's pretty simple to use. I will show the Dorland's because I think it might be easier to get. And so I've used this one quite extensively. And I just use a bit of paper towel. You don't need much, so I have ripped off a piece of, this is a shop towel. I like the shop towels so they don't have that quite the same kind of printed texture on it. It's not a huge worry with applying this medium, but sometimes you can, when you're doing different things, you might want to use your shop towels. So anyways, so you dip in, way too much. You just get like a pea-sized amount. That might even be too much, but you get it onto your paper towel. And you don't want to get this on your skin, so some of you might want to wear gloves. There can be issues with, especially with people with skin sensitivity with this stuff, and you definitely want to wash your hands after you use it. But you take this, and I usually just go in a bit of a circle and just start applying. Now, it does make it a little bit darker, so keep that in mind. So you can see these areas where I've applied it. The blacks or the dark grays of the mountains have gone quite a bit darker compared to these ones over here. So just keep that in mind, and you just buff it. You can always add a bit more, and I think in this case I will. So it's quite thick because it's made of beeswax, and I believe mineral spirits. It depends which version you're using, what the exact ingredients are, but the main ingredient is beeswax. So it's kind of a soft beeswax consistency. So I just buff. You can see some there. You don't want to see any. You don't want to see any of the medium once you're done, but it will have a little bit of it'll have a matte sheen, but almost like a velvety matte sheen. So you just buff it around. Make sure to get everywhere. So I'm just going kind of methodically. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of fold over my paper towel. Just kind of wipe. So make sure that I don't have any thicker areas because you don't want to have any kind of chunkiness to it. Okay, so that is likely good, and I'm going to kind of look at it from a bit of an angle and just double check because sometimes you can see almost smears, and I can see some right now. So I'm going to go and buff one more time because you don't want it to look streaky at all. So we'll buff off in circles, but again, methodically, to make sure that you get every area. And now I'm going to just try and catch the light. You probably can't see it on camera because I can barely see it in real life, but I think that's looking pretty good. So that's essentially it. It's pretty much ready now. If you feel it, you can feel that there is not that chalky feeling that you would have had with just the gouache, but you can feel it. There's a varnish on there. You can let it sit for a few days, and then it should be nice and protected. And I'll just show you. So I'll just drop some water on here. Let's get a bit more. Get in a few spots. And you can see it just beads up. So if somebody were to splash some water on your artwork, it's going to be protected. Now, it doesn't protect the whole paper from the artworks or from water. So if somebody gets splashed from behind, that can still cause damage, but it really just protects, from those light splashes that can happen. So I recommend picking yourself up. If you do a lot of gouache painting, I recommend picking up some sort of a wax medium, trying it out, seeing if you like it. I also do use it beyond gouache. I use it with acrylics if I'm doing paintings in a sketchbook. So I don't have a second painting here, but let's say this was acrylic and that was acrylic. When they're dried, even when you think they're dried and then you close the sketchbook, they can stick together with acrylic. That's not such a concern with gouache, but you can use the cold mediums or wax mediums to protect them. Just make sure everything is completely dry before you apply it.